Well, let's see. The key challenges that we were facing before working with Satva was number one, being able to control the functionality of what started out to be an Excel workbook. So we needed to make sure that it had high integrity and functioning, meaning that it always worked every time. Number two, we had to have an efficient manner to manage updates. And so we faced a challenge in having to make multiple, or whenever we wanted to make a change in the Excel workbook, we had to then affect that change and send out new workbooks to all users, given that they were using a standalone version. So that was very challenging and time consuming and costly. Moving to a cloud-based app would give us consistency and to be able to manage changes much more efficiently. Question. What was your experience working with Satva? First, in summary, we have been very pleased in our experience in working with Satva. We were referred to Satva by a trusted provider here in the local market where we work. We had asked them to be able to develop the application, and it was their recommendation to connect with Satva, which we did, and we connected with you, and we connected with your team and Chintan, and we had a good experience in being able to define the scope of the project, to design the user interface, and then edit that, and then move from that design to the functionality of the application. I found that the schedule that was set out was realistic. We had certain sprints, and we moved through those sprints, and it was helpful to have both the identification of the phases or the content of the sprint, and it was also helpful to have a calendar to show progress in moving through the overall project. I think that the communication during the development was also helpful. I appreciated being able to use Basecamp. I don't know that I used it to its fullest potential, but it was nice to have a separate portal for communication as opposed to just a general email. It was also very productive for us, given the geographic time differences, in that, our work day then led to your work day, 24-hour period almost around the clock. So again, our experience has been good, and in detail, we appreciated the design, the sprint, and the communication, and we're also very pleased with the outcome. I think that the clarity of scope, cost was very helpful, and I think that happiest might give a sense of satisfaction and a reference to that, and I think that's a personal function, meaning that I enjoyed the human interface in both working with Sunel and working with her team, knowing that as we developed communication over time, that the project was in good hands, and it wasn't just some company someplace else, doing work. It was helpful to have, real people working on specific projects and being able to communicate. So I think that happy factor was very much a human factor that really augmented the technical factors throughout the project. It was also, Sunel, it was also, I think, I'll use that same word, happy, from a holistic or maybe even an emotional reaction, that it was very pleasing for us to see the project both in its progress, but also at its conclusion. It was very satisfying to see what had started as an idea was worked through as a concept and then was presented as a finished product. It's kind of like seeing the house when it's completed. It's like seeing a child born and developed. And so that was very pleasing to be able to see the whole thing. It was kind of the realization of a vision that gave us a lot of joy and happiness. I think that one, it is at times difficult to find a trusted advisor or a trusted colleague. There are many people and companies who are presenting solutions. So it was very helpful that a colleague here in our local market knew of Satva, had worked with Satva before, and referred me. And so equally, I think that we would be very pleased to be able to refer people to Satva in a similar kind of context. And I can imagine that other people would be pleased with the outcomes in the process as well. Recommending Satva for similar kinds of projects.